I was once a stone statue without a mind, yet even the heavenly Tao was powerless against me. This is because I was the first human created by Nuwa. When she first created me, due to her lack of experience, I was left with only an empty shell. I had no consciousness. After Nuwa achieved sainthood and ascended, she left me forgotten in this world, the human race that came after. Considering I was the first human created by the Holy Mother, placed me behind the statues of the Holy Mother Nuwa and the sage Laozi. And so, I stood in this world for centuries. But one day, a thick stench of blood woke me. When I opened my eyes, I saw hundreds of humans. They were all kneeling before the statues of Nuwa and Laozi. O great sages, please, listen to the pleas of your children. Grant us your divine power. Save the human race. The sound of their prayers traveled to my ears. From their pleas, I could tell that the human race was in peril. But no matter how much they begged, the statues of Nuwa and Laozi remained unresponsive. Finally, someone couldn't bear it and stood up. Holy Mother, Sage. The witch and demon clans are mercilessly slaughtering our people to forge weapons. Tens of thousands of us have already been butchered. Are you going to just watch as our entire race is wiped out? Hearing those words, I finally understood why the stench of blood on this mountain was so overpowering. Damn those witch and demon clans. As the very first human of this primordial world, the thought of my race facing extinction filled me with a towering rage and killing intent. But, as a mere stone statue, I was powerless to do anything. Just as I was lamenting the imminent extinction of the human race, a beam of light suddenly shot down from the heavens and struck me. Instantly, my consciousness was pulled into a mystical space, where a mysterious voice spoke. Host, you have been blessed by the heavenly Tao. I grant you the ultimate domain power. Within your domain, you are impervious to all abilities and eternally invincible. It starts with a radius of 30 meters. The more enemies you slay, the larger your domain will grow. Just then, a wave of demonic energy surged from the base of the mountain, mingled with burst after burst of terrified screams. The human race was still young, and though they were born with bodies suited for the Tao, they were still terribly weak. In the span of a single breath, thousands of humans, covered in their own blood, had retreated to the summit. Lady Nuwa, Sage Laozi, we're begging you, please save our people. If you don't intervene now, the human race will truly be wiped out. The people cried out in unison, but still received no answer. Seeing this, the demons who had charged up the mountain all began to laugh mockingly. They were fully prepared to annihilate the human race. In that moment, every surviving human despaired. Just as the demons were about to make their move, I emerged from behind the humans. I passed through the crowd, shielding all of them behind me. The survivors were completely stunned to see me. The statue, it's alive. The two men and one woman who had been at the front of the group stared at me, their mouths agape. Unsure of what to say, I spoke calmly, all of you, fall back behind me. Hearing my command, the three human leaders led their people to fall back. The demons who heard me burst into laughter. You humans are nothing more than a colony of ants. And you're just a slightly bigger ant, that's all. Ha ha ha, is that so? Then by all means, come and try me. This mountaintop is now my starting territory. Although it's a mere 10 zhong in radius, it's more than enough to protect the humans behind me. Seeing this, the demon general was furious. A six-winged creature dares to challenge me? With that, he waved his hand and gave the order to slaughter. Led by their general, the demon horde charged excitedly toward the humans. The swarming demon soldiers were in front of me in an instant. My mind was calm. I patiently calculated the distance. Just as the demons stepped into my territory, I said in a low voice, human territory. Flight is forbidden. As my voice fell, an invisible wave spread out. All the demons flying in the sky plummeted down like stones. Seeing this, the humans all stared with their mouths agape, their faces filled with disbelief. The leading demon general looked horrified. He couldn't sense any magical power from me and couldn't understand why the demons near me had suddenly fallen. And all the demons within the territory were even more terrified. Why can't we fly? Even newly transformed lesser demons can fly. What in the world is happening? Could it be that Lady Nuwa and the Sage Laozi have intervened? This thought, the demons panicked. Lady Nuwa, Sage Laozi, we'll leave right away, since the sages have intervened. They clearly want to protect these thousands of humans. Although the demons are simple-minded, they aren't stupid enough to challenge a sage. They quickly turned to flee. Just then, my cold voice rang out. Who said you could leave? Immobilize. As my voice fell, another invisible wave spread out in an instant. All the demons were shocked to find they couldn't move. It was only then that they finally saw clearly. The one who forbade them from flying and moving wasn't a sage, it was me. The human they had regarded as a mere ant. The leading demon snorted coldly and ordered his demon soldiers to attack me with long-range magic. All the demons gathered their energy and took aim at me. But just as they were fully charged and about to attack, my light voice spoke, "Human territory. Magic is forbidden." This left them completely stunned. The demons were still in their attack stances, but the magic that had just been brimming with power could no longer be summoned at all. The pupils of every one of these demons dilated as they looked at me in terror. Now, they couldn't even think about flying. They couldn't even move an inch. They could only stand there, frozen like wooden statues. A demon's voice trembled as he spoke, "Human, let us go. We'll leave right now." They were clearly terrified. Unfortunately, no matter what they said now, it was too late. With a mere thought in my mind, the 100 or so demons all exploded, vanishing between heaven and earth. This bizarre scene made the other demons' faces turn pale with horror. The humans watching from the rear were also stunned, their jaws agape. The ancestor, is this terrifying? As the horde of demons was annihilated, the system's voice once again sounded in my mind. "You have acquired enough energy. Your invincible territory has now been upgraded to level 2. Territory range has increased to 100 jong." Hearing the system's notification, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly. When the humans saw the ground littered with demon corpses and were cheering for this hard-won victory, a deafening voice roared, "You're courting death." The voice was exceptionally loud, so loud that the entire earth began to shake violently. A giant of the demon clan in golden armor led a vast demonic army. They emerged from every mountain ravine. Seeing this, the humans behind me were all terrified, cowering and not daring to peek out. One of the humans from the 3 clans whispered to me, "That's the demon commander in charge of slaughtering our people this time." Hearing this, I gave a slight nod, and in the distance, the demon commander arrived at the battlefield and scanned the area. But he didn't detect the lingering aura of any powerful expert. And so, he locked his gaze on the cowering humans and roared, "Leave no one alive." As he spoke, he took a step forward, entering my invincible domain. Seeing this, I no longer held back. How arrogant! The demon commander didn't even have time to process what had happened before he was utterly crushed by my colossal form. Then, I turned to the demon horde. At this moment, all the demons were frozen in shock, their pupils shrinking. They stared at me in disbelief. "He killed him, with a single slap?" A demon cried out in horror. I stood in the air with my hands behind my back, looking down on the demons below. From now on, I guard this place. Those who trespass against the human clan will be killed without mercy. At that moment, humans hiding behind me finally dared to peek out and look. Suddenly, hundreds of other auras flew in rapidly from the distance. Seeing this, the people screamed in terror, "Old ancestor, run! The Wu clan army is attacking." However, I merely shot a calm glance in that direction. I raised my hand, signaling the crowd to be quiet as the Wu clan commander descended with several hundred of his warriors. Seeing the terrified demons, he sneered, "Well now, I was wondering who it was. Turns out it's just the little demons from West Demon Mountain. Where is your commander? Tell him to get his ass out here. Tell him that I, from the Wu clan, am taking over this territory." All the demons were scared out of their wits. How could they possibly have the mind to answer him? This only infuriated the Wu clan commander more. He reached out across the distance, grabbing a small demon. "This commander is asking you, where is your commander? Speak up." The little demon was so frightened its face was twitching, its lips trembling. It raised a shaky hand and pointed at me. It was him. Hearing the little demon's words, the Wu clan commander's brow furrowed. Then, he mercilessly crushed the little demon's skull. When the other demons saw this, the anger they had just suppressed was about to erupt. Hundreds of Wu warriors didn't even wait for the order. With ferocious expressions, they drew their respective weapons and faced off against them. The Wu clan commander glanced over from afar, discovering it was just a single human. He then gave the demons a contemptuous look. "The demon clan truly is pathetic. You can't even handle a bunch of ants, and you tried to trick me into thinking the humans possessed some world-shaking power?" Faced with the Wu clan commander's ridicule, none of the demons dared to act out. They could only retreat timidly. But before his voice had even faded, The Wu clan commander looked at me again, waved his hand, and sneered, "Perfect, we'll just capture this group of humans. We'll rip out their souls and use them to deal with you useless demons." The sharp, terrifying laughter of the Wu clan echoed through the heavens, making every human's scalp tingle. They were facing a formidable enemy. "Get them!" The Wu clan commander clenched his fist in the empty air. Green warhammer materialized. Instantly, a vast, divine power surged around his body, as waves of ethereal energy steamed forward. Hundreds of Wu Yao demons received the command and came rushing toward me. Each one was as swift as lightning, a blur across the land. Like arrows loosed from a bow, I touched my wrist, and whispered, "The witch tribe?" The moment I spoke, a world-shattering storm erupted in the sky. In a flash, the hundreds of Wu Yao demons were completely annihilated. In the distance, the other demons who had lingered. Since when did the human race have such a powerful ancestor? My sharp gaze shot across the vast distance towards them. The demons felt their scalps tingle, and in the next instant, they scattered in terror. "Congratulations, host. Energy acquired. Territory upgraded to level 3. Territory range increased to a radius of 1000 zhang." With my hands behind my back, I watched as the powerful territory materialized. Now I can protect even more people. The news that a human had annihilated the witch demon commanders spread quickly. Chang Mountain became the center of attention for all the myriad races. The sudden rise of me, the first human of the Great Desolation, gave the human race a glimmer of hope. On the mountain's summit, the three ancestors of the human race led 3,000 humans to proclaim me as the supreme of the human race. They hoped I could lead the human race to survive against the witch and demon tribes. I looked at the three ancestors, and then at the only 3,000 humans who remained. A sense of purpose welled up inside me. In my previous life, I had read countless novels about the Great Desolation. I had seen countless plots of the witches and demons slaughtering humans, but I never felt much about it. But now, as the first human of the Great Desolation, witnessing this bloody and cruel scene with my own eyes, I couldn't help but feel a surge of rage. Only now did I understand just how miserably the human race had been suffering. Perhaps protecting the human race is the very mission I was brought here to fulfill. Seeing that I was silent, the three ancestors exchanged a glance. Then, they knelt on one knee, as if they were worshipping heaven and earth. They bowed low, as they would to Nuwa and Laozi, and cried out, "We implore the supreme of the human race to protect our people." The kneeling of the three ancestors quickly resonated with the thousands of other humans. The voices of the people rose from the mountaintop, echoing endlessly through the mountains and rivers. "We implore the supreme of the human race to protect our people." I looked at the thousands of humans kneeling before me, my gaze firm, and said, "I am the first human of the Great Desolation. It is my duty to protect our race." Then, under the watchful eyes of all, I walked to the most prominent position. Following behind me were the three ancestors of the human race, their eyes brimming with tears. For the human race now had hope, not only for survival, but for greatness. I pursed my lips, and as I lowered my finger, my voice spread from the mountaintop, descending upon the crowd from above. It was like the chanting of gods, reaching deep into the very core of their souls. "With this blessing, I shall make a decree." Below, the 3,000 humans stared with wide eyes. They stared at me without blinking, their eyes filled with curiosity. They wanted to know what I, their new supreme, was going to say to them. My gaze swept across the 3,000 people. Slowly, yet forcefully, I declared, "Those who defy our human race will face a fight to the death." Below, the crowd of humans was stunned. Those who defy our human race, a fight to the death? All they had ever thought about before was how to survive. But the Supreme actually wants revenge? That's right, our human clan was almost wiped out by the demon clan. Shouldn't we seek revenge? Those who trespass against our human clan will face a fight to the death. The three clans of the humans were the first to react. They shouted with all their might, "Those who trespass against our human clan will face a fight to the death. Those who trespass against our human clan will face a fight to the death." Their momentum soared to the heavens. I nodded, then I turned to face the sky and announced, "I am the supreme of the human clan. I hereby declare to the primordial world, from this day forth, the human clan will be in a fight to the death with the witch and demon clans." Boom! As soon as the words were spoken, thunder rumbled across the sky. The heavens and the earth changed color. The human clan and the witch clan. A fight to the death. The 3,000 humans of Chang Mountain, under the leadership of the 3 human clans, shouted in unison, "The human clan will fight the witch and demon clans to the death." At the same time, 2 other human wills were transmitted from Wujuang Temple and Shouyang Mountain. In an instant, the mountains and rivers resonated, and mysterious golden runes were reflected in the vast expanse of the sky. They twinkled like stars against the azure canopy as golden waves rippled across the entire primordial world. The pressure of the heavenly Tao contained within them instantly enveloped the entire world. Shocked, yet bewildered, how could the human clan's oath to the heavenly Tao cause a celestial phenomenon? At this moment, I was also a little surprised and glanced in the direction of Wujuang Temple and Shouyang Mountain. A smile appeared on my face. It turns out there are other humans who survived. This is truly a joyous occasion. The human clan has declared war. The witch and demon clans. Interesting. I never thought an oath made by the tiny human clan could actually stir the heavenly Tao. It's simply unbelievable. I wonder how the witch and demon clans will respond. All the myriad clans of the primordial world were utterly shocked. At the same time, they were curious about the reaction of the witch and demon clans. After all, in this primordial world, they are the overlords of heaven and earth. One rules the heavens, the other controls the earth. The human clan being so provocative, how could the witch and demon clans possibly remain silent? In the ancestral witch hall, the 12 ancestral witches had gathered. They usually lived scattered among their own tribes. Only when a major event occurred would they be summoned here by Dejong for discussion. And now, the human clan had made an oath to the heavenly Tao, vowing to fight the witch clan to the death. This had already enraged the witch clan. Among the 12 ancestral witches, all were furious except for Hutu. The most hot-tempered among them, Zerong and Gonggong, even declared they would personally lead an army to annihilate the human clan. They were forcefully stopped by Hutu. I disagreed with slaughtering the humans before. Now that a human supreme has appeared, and one that can cause a celestial phenomenon at that. HMPH, this human supreme, or rather, this human clan, is certainly extraordinary. Why don't we, for this matter, find a way to properly compensate them and repair our relationship with the human clan? Hutu suggested. Back when the witch clan was slaughtering the humans, she had tried her best to stop it, but unfortunately, the other ancestral witches paid her no mind. The only thing she could do was restrain the witches from her own tribe from going out to kill humans. Calm down, Hutu. A bunch of barely surviving ants, and you're the only one who takes them seriously. Tiny ants daring to challenge the majesty of our witch clan? If we don't destroy them, we'll become a joke to all the other clans. Right. Let's just wipe them out. The other ancestral witches all chimed in. Dejong, the space ancestral witch, is the leader of the 12 ancestral witches. After some thought, he said, an oath from the human race's supreme being can influence the heavens. Indeed, it's not to be taken lightly. But for that very reason, they must be destroyed. To forge the witch demon sword, our witch clan has already killed so many humans. There is no longer any chance for peace. Since it has come to this, let's just wipe them out. Zerong rose to his feet. I'll go exterminate the human race myself. No, I should be the one to go. I can't say I trust him with this. You dare to look down on me? HMPH, you're foolish and weak. If you were killed by the human race, wouldn't that tarnish the dignity of our ancestral witches? You think I wouldn't dare to have a match with me? Why wouldn't I dare? The other ancestral witches all frowned, their heads aching. Zerong, the ancestral witch of fire, and Gonggong, the ancestral witch of water, were born around the same time. Plus, with their naturally conflicting elements, they have never gotten along since the day they were born. Neither submits to the other, and both have explosive tempers. They explode at the slightest provocation. Dejong rubbed his temples. In a deep voice, he shouted, enough. Zerong and Gonggong snorted coldly at each other and sat back down. They still had to obey the words of their eldest brother. Dejong continued, to annihilate a mere few thousand members of the human race, if it requires us ancestral witches to take action. Wouldn't we become a joke to all the other races? Chang Liang, your sister, Jufeng, has already cultivated to the realm of a great witch. Have her lead 1,000 witch clan members to Kunlun Mountain. Chang Liang nodded. Afterwards, he sent a message to his sister Jufeng, who was back in the tribe. Far away, Jufeng received her brother's message and immediately gathered 1,000 members of the Thunder tribe, heading towards Kunlun Mountain. Meanwhile, atop the splendid and beautiful Bujo Mountain, within the mysterious heavenly court, the assembled demons held an audience. Their oath has stirred the heavens. What does everyone think? The human race has barely more than 10,000 members. The gap between them and our demon race is as wide as a chasm. They are nothing to be afraid of. In my view, we should just ignore them. He was exceptionally wise. He, of course, knew that Dijun wanted to kill the humans. Among all the demons, he was the only one who opposed the demon race's large-scale massacre of the human race. It's just that, although he was the Western Emperor by title, he held little real authority over the demon race. Ignore them? The Eastern Emperor, Tai, narrowed his eyes. In a heavy voice, he said, a mere race of ants, provoking us like this. If we let this pass, how will the other races ever respect our demon race again? The demon master, Kunpeng, had his eyes half closed, as if he were dozing off. Completely unconcerned with the affairs of the human race. We will discuss this matter later. Dijun looked at Fuxi, and then at Tai. Finally, he spoke. Although he harbored killing intent towards the human race in his heart, he needed to placate Fuxi. After all, he was a vital asset for the future war against the Witch Clan. The Heavenly Emperor is wise. Fuxi clasped his fists, but sighed softly in his heart. With his wisdom, how could he not guess Dijun's intentions? Tai didn't say anything else, but after returning from the miraculous Mist Palace to the Eastern Emperor's palace, he summoned the demon marshal, Zhu Ying, and ordered him to lead 1,000 elite demons straight to Kunlun. I'd like to see for myself what kind of supreme being dares to lead his people to declare war on my heavenly court. Dongwang Tai stood with his hands behind his back, his presence imposing without a hint of anger. A powerful pressure swept across the ground, causing all the demons to tremble in fear. Between heaven and earth, the elite forces dispatched by the Wu and Yao clans whistled past. The storm they kicked up caused flash floods and landslides, as if the sky were falling and the earth were caving in. The myriad clans hidden in the mountains and wilderness were utterly terrified. They knew, this was the Wu and Yao clans' dissatisfaction with the human clan, and they were about to unleash their thunderous fury. At that moment, Chu Feng, who was still on the summit of Chang Mountain, also felt the immense and powerful pressure from the Yao clan. It was approaching rapidly. As he turned his head, he saw the sky had turned dark and gray. Countless members of the Yao clan soared through the air on their wings, wielding weapons. They glared with rage. The one in the lead, Juyin, frowned. He shouted, Wu clan, what are you all doing here? None of your business. Zhou Fengji's gaze sharpened. Her sideways glance burned with a fiery killing intent. The Wu and Yao clans had been enemies for many years. They were already like fire and water. The only reason a fight hadn't broken out yet was because they were under orders. Just then, Chu Feng touched his wrist. Standing majestically behind him in the face of the howling wind, the 3,000 humans trembled before the thousands of warriors from the Wu and Yao clans. And yet, they looked toward Chu Feng with determination in their eyes, watching the two clan leaders still arguing high above. Chu Feng took a step forward and said mockingly, are you two here to be guests? Chu Feng's voice reached their ears, and Juyin stopped his standoff with Jufeng. He turned and bellowed, I have come on the command of heaven and earth. Kneel and apologize at once. Take back your heavenly Dao oath, or your entire clan will be annihilated. Beside him, Jufeng frowned, but when she thought of Di Yang's orders, she also roared with might, by the order of Lord Dijong. Kneel and apologize. Chu Feng laughed. It was a laugh filled with fury. He narrowed his eyes. An undisguised killing intent erupted from him like a storm as he looked upon the Wu and Yao clans. You look down on the human clan, but in this world, the strong preying on the weak is the supreme law. How could you high and mighty Wu and Yao have forgotten such a simple truth? The strong prey on the weak? Zhu Feng sneered, you mere human ants are only fit to become dead souls under the feet of my Wu clan. In this boundless world, I will slaughter every last one of you humans today. Juyin was enraged. Chu Feng took a deep breath. He took a weapon from a clansman beside him. If I had known sooner, why would I fear the likes of Di Jun and Di Zhang? Seeing Chu Feng act this way, Zhu Feng and Juyin grew even more furious. They realized that Chu Feng was the supreme leader of the human clan. Zhu Feng spread her wings and moved. Instantly, sand and stones flew across Lelong Mountain. Green boulders shattered into dust, and entire groves of trees were ripped from the ground. A terrifying pressure, like mountains and seas, crashed down. With a boom, 1,000 Wu clan warriors smashed into the ground. It caused the mountains and rivers to shake violently. The 3,000 humans staggered and fell. They were utterly terrified. At the same time, Juyin, in a frenzy, unleashed his 9 enormous, mountain-sized snakeheads. They flickered their tongues constantly, his body shrouded in a swirling mist of fire and water. Hazy and dangerous, he roared at Chu Feng. He ordered all the demons, slaughter every last human in this place. Thousands of witch demons had gathered, enough to unleash their full power. A dark, overwhelming mass, terrifying beyond measure. Thousands of powerful auras descended upon this place. Chu Feng narrowed his eyes. He raised his right hand, bestowing a blessing of protection on every member of the human race. In an instant, the members of the witch and demon clans transformed into dazzling streaks of light. They came whistling through the air or stampeding across the ground. They sped along, skimming the earth. Their power was immense. With a single stride, they appeared outside the territory as if they had teleported. Behind the witch-demon horde was the colossal Ju Ying. Its 9 enormous heads swayed, blotting out the sky and the sun. It was an utterly terrifying sight. And high in the sky, Ju Feng was also unleashing the power of the great Thunder Witch, summoning heavenly lightning. Dark clouds swirled with the wind as Ju Feng shot across the sky. His speed was several times faster than Ju Ying's. He opened his mouth and spat out a divine, soul-consuming sword. It sundered the void, blasting apart the collapsing chains of order. Chains clanged with a powerful and terrifying force. It suddenly stirred up a bloody storm. The land, which had just begun to recover, was once again a scene of devastation. Chu Feng watched as the witch-demon horde swarmed forward. He remained silent. At that moment, all the humans were terrified and uneasy. They had never seen such a massive army, and their legs trembled with fear. However, at this very moment, the 3 ancestors of the human race saw that Chu Feng wasn't moving. They stepped forward one after another. The one in the center stood tall and shouted, "We will fight side by side with the Supreme One. We will fight the witch demons to the death." The 3,000 humans looked at the 3 ancestors, then turned their determined gazes to Chu Feng. Someone in the crowd yelled, "For the human race! Charge!" The 3,000 humans followed the 3 ancestors into action. They were now fearless in the face of death. Their conviction to fight the witch demons to their last drop of blood was stronger than ever before. They knew deep down, as long as the Supreme One is immortal, the human race will endure. Watching the 3,000 humans, their fighting spirit awakened, rush past him, Chu Feng laughed loudly. This was the human race he had sworn to protect, even at the cost of his life. The allied witch demon horde charged. In the blink of an eye, they stormed into Chu Feng's territory. The divine sword spat out by Chu Feng kicked up a storm on the ground. As a powerful warrior of the witch clan, he had long cultivated a vast and boundless killing intent. Now, this killing intent spread along the divine sword, striking fear into the hearts of the 3,000 humans. Facing the unfazed Chu Feng, a corner of Chu Feng's eye twitched. He let out another long cry to the heavens, the very tips of his feathers glowing with destructive power. The battlefield now was a scene of utter chaos, where seas turned to dust. Lightning formed an ocean, as if the apocalypse had arrived. It was terrifying beyond compare. At that moment, Ju Ying strode forward. Its momentum was like a thunderous storm, its massive body about to crash down in an instant. It spewed flames that blotted out the sky. Chu Feng raised his hand. With his power alone, he shattered the divine blade and extinguished the flames with his own might. The immense power vanished in an instant, stunning Ju Ying and Chu Feng, who froze in place. At the same time, a certain energy suddenly descended between heaven and earth. It was mysterious and magnificent, carrying a terrifying and awe-inspiring pressure. The witch demons who were skimming the ground were instantly slammed into the earth. Those flying high in the sky came plummeting down. The hearts of all the liches were filled with shock. The members of the Wu clan tried to unleash their power, only to find that nothing happened. Only their physical bodies could move, and even then, they could only take steps of 3 feet. The liches, once filled with killing intent, were suddenly terrified, not knowing how they were about to die. What kind of bizarre technique was this? The members of the demon clan were even more terrified. The principles they had mastered could no longer be used, and the same went for all their powerful techniques. A powerful member of the demon clan used all his might, but only managed to conjure a mediocre little spark. Killing intent filled his eyes as he stepped forward. Wind, thunder, and clouds moved in unison. An ultimate power howled through the air. The moment his gaze shifted, heavenly thunder cracked. The instant he raised his hand, a bolt of lightning flashed past. In an instant, it was like a divine sword slashing across the heavens. The entire sky was bathed in a brilliant silver light, causing heaven and earth to lose their color. Mountains and rivers grew dim. Chu Feng looked out beyond his territory. Gazing at Zhu Feng and Zhu Ying hovering in the air, he spoke coldly, "You who trespass against my human clan will be shown no mercy." His voice traveled far, like the 3,000 primordial beings from the ancient past. Gods and demons chanting in unison. It seemed as if he was speaking to the two of them. And yet, it was as if he were addressing the entire primordial world. The moment his voice fell, Chu Feng struck out with his palm from afar, releasing a sky full of gray mist. It formed into an impossibly huge hand, crushing the thousands of demons on the ground. At this moment, the invisible pressure intensified. No matter how desperately the demon clan tried to flee, it was useless. Normally, they could travel thousands of miles in a single breath. But now, they were reduced to 3 footsteps. Even if they burned their vital essence with all their might, there was no escaping the palm formed from the gray clouds. Amid the chaotic panic, a golden light pierced the void, tearing through time itself as it pushed out from the emptiness. In the end, 1,000 members of the demon clan were swatted to death. As for his use of power, Chu Feng was becoming ever more skillful. These whetstones who delivered themselves to his door were helping him perfect his form. On the shattered earth, the bodies of the demon clan were strewn everywhere. Some were as massive as mountains, and even those with the thinned blood of the dragon clan were swatted to death just the same. Chu Feng stood proudly in the wind. His gaze was incredibly resolute, the erupting killing intent almost taking physical form, forming a thin, blood-red veil around his body. At this moment, wielding immense power, he struck. With a single thought, a snow-white celestial blade suddenly appeared in the void. The blade's aura surged forth, impossibly brilliant. In that moment, it was as if both the ancient past and the distant future were contained within it. The immense power was disorienting. He took a deep breath. He pointed his finger downwards, and the pressure plummeted. Looking at the liches struggling to escape, he sneered, "Go and keep them company." With a boom, the bodies of the remaining members of the Wu clan all sank, as if they were carrying a mountain weighing 10,000 tons. With every footfall, they left a bottomless crater. They gritted their teeth, struggling to move. They felt an immense power crushing their very bones. The earth rumbled loudly, like an earth dragon turning in its sleep, and the entire Chang mountain shook violently. Under the shocked gazes of the liches, Chu Feng unleashed his immense power, pouring down upon them with overwhelming force. The light was blazing fiercely. A huge chasm on the ground, like a terrifying scar, was spreading. Countless helpless bodies fell into it. There were no more signs of life. The humans were protected by the golden light. They retreated from within. Then, more and more orbs of light rose into the sky. On the verge of death, they were sheltered by Chu Feng. At this moment, the giant fissure, like a black hole traversing the universe, constantly spewed forth from below. A cold, sinister air spread rapidly like a spiderweb. Fortunately, Chu Feng acted quickly. It didn't affect the 3,000 humans. Facing the incomparably powerful Chu Feng, the remaining members of the Wu clan were terrified and turned to flee. Chu Feng displayed his killing arts like a god of war, surrounded by an inscrutable, mysterious aura. It exuded a mysterious and oppressive feeling. For a moment, the peak of Kongtong Mountain was filled with the tragic screams of the Wu clan. Cries for help and chaos echoed through the heavens. "Great Witch Zhu Feng, save me. This human's power is beyond anything we can fight." The members of the Wu clan scattered and fled, but their situation was even more dire than that of the Yao clan. They couldn't move an inch. A powerful pressure descended from the heavens. It surged up from the ground, enveloping every member of the Wu clan. Their previous arrogance was completely gone. They just wanted to run for their lives. They even regretted coming to the mountain. It was too late to retreat. Then, Chu Feng lifted his foot again and stomped down through the air. Suddenly, the phenomenon reappeared, transforming into massive, divine swords hanging high in the air. They carried a world-ending power that seemed to make the very heavens shake and fall. "Since you're here, you will die." Stay and be buried with the humans who died here." In the sky where the clouds had just cleared, 3,000 bolts of lightning instantly gathered. Forming into the sole of a foot, it stomped down violently from high above as thunder rolled. The deafening sound swept in all directions, terrifying all the clans who were watching this battle. The restrained Wu clan had nowhere to run. Amidst the tragic screams and terror of the Wu clan, Chu Feng gave a soft shout. With a deafening roar, the power of lightning mixed with iridescent clouds descended. It completely annihilated the 1,000 members of the Wu clan on the peak of Kangtong Mountain. All the charging members of the Wu and Yao clans were horrified. What kind of power was this? They stood frozen, feeling as if the end of the world was upon them. To think that someone could single-handedly fight against the combined forces of the Wu and Yao. Meanwhile, high above, the myriad clans watching from the surrounding mountains and rivers also saw the ethereal figure. On the peak of the mountain, there was a faint golden phantom in the form of a human. With a single wave of its hand, it could overturn the heavens and extinguish the earth. It was incomparably powerful. There was no smell of blood in the air, only the terrifying lightning that filled it. It had instantly vaporized the bodies of all the Wu and Yao. After Chu Feng cast his spell, it dissipated. 3,000 lightning bolts gathered in the stormy sky. The sun, which had vanished, appeared once more. The entire battle began and ended in the blink of an eye. Ding! Congratulations, host, you have acquired energy. Your territory has leveled up to level 4. Territory range has increased to a 100 li radius. Chu Feng took a deep breath. Looking at the desolate plain before him, a look flickered in his eyes. It was a heart-stopping killing intent. As his territory leveled up to level 4, Chu Feng discovered that Zhu Feng and Zhu Ying were now also within the range of his territory. He had been worried that the two of them might have escaped, but now he could breathe a sigh of relief. The mountains and rivers of all the heavens. Right now, in this blighted land, everything was glowing, following that pale golden phantom. In an instant, the very laws of nature for 100 miles around seemed to surge toward the mountaintop. But alas, the vision wasn't entirely clear. Their power was far from enough. Their anger was mixed with horror. They brought so many members of the demon clan, yet nearly all of them were wiped out. But after the roar faded, Zhu Feng and Zhu Yin didn't make a move. 2,000 golden immortal masters, killed in an instant. The sight left them utterly shocked. While they too could kill a golden immortal in one blow, they could never do it with such casual ease as Chu Feng. At that moment, both the witch and demon clansmen wanted to retreat. Chu Feng let out a long breath. He rubbed his slightly sore wrist, his cold gaze fixed on the two before him. He didn't press his advantage on them immediately. As grand golden immortals, they were far more valuable than the grunts he had just slaughtered. He glanced around at the members of the human clan. Chu Feng narrowed his eyes, wondering if the flesh of the witch and demon clans was edible. In the sky, blindingly bright runes and a golden light still flickered and flowed. The immense power contained within them kept the myriad of surrounding clans at a distance. With the enhancement of his domain, everything within a 100-mile radius fell under Chu Feng's control. The surviving members of the witch and demon clans who hadn't joined the fight had already fled the field of destruction, now cowering in terror behind Zhu Feng and Zhu Yin. In all their years of rampaging, they had never encountered a human this powerful. And they were utterly powerless against him. This view of the empty sky will be the last thing you ever see. Now, kneel. Zhu Feng's enormous body slammed into the ground, causing the very mountains to shake and the earth to crack. The laws of nature around him dimmed in an instant, and the power within his body began to die out. He was filled with dread, raw fear flashing in his eyes. He stared fixedly at the one whose every gesture was so effortless and serene, Chu Feng. At the same time, the nearby Zhu Yin also came crashing down. The two colossal bodies kicked up a vast cloud of dust as the natural laws around them faded, until they were completely extinguished. The ground, from the force of their kneeling, shattered, forming a terrifying crater, completely broken and ruined. It was a scene of utter devastation. The act of kneeling nearly tore their bodies asunder. The pungent stench of blood spread from their wounds, which in a blink of an eye, formed a crimson lake. They struggled to rise, but it felt as if some force was pinning them down. They couldn't move at all. If you've got the guts, then kill me. I will never kneel to an ant from the human clan. Zhu Ying roared, a sound that shook the heavens and the earth. The roar was deafening to the 3,000 humans. Chu Feng raised his right hand. With a gesture like his fingers gliding over water, he blocked the terrifying soundwave. "You will die, but I won't be the one to kill you," Chu Feng said, his voice ice cold. He lowered his gaze, and a great golden mist began to spread from his feet. Wherever the great mist passed, the fissures in the earth sealed shut. Vegetation was reborn. This miraculous sight made the 3,000 humans cry out, "Supreme Chu Feng!" On the mountaintop, with a wave of his hand, all the corpses of the witch and demon clans disintegrated, and vitality flourished once more. This scene shocked every clan. A mighty being from the human race is truly a force to be reckoned with. He now had a profound understanding of the hardships the human race faced during this era. Without a powerful protector, it was hard to imagine if the human race wouldn't have already gone extinct. Before the words had even faded, Chu Feng turned his head to look at the two from the human group of three. He spoke with the authority of the Supreme One. "Ren 2, Ren 3, go and cut off their heads." As he spoke, Chu Feng once again used the power of Ju Feng and Ju Yin, and his enormous body instantly shrank to the size of a normal person. At that moment, as members of the group of three, Ren 2 and Ren 3 gritted their teeth and moved forward, tightly gripping the stone weapons in their hands. With a clench of his fist, Chu Feng saw Ju Yin and Ju Feng arrive in an instant. At the same time, their 9 heads merged into one, and they took on an ordinary appearance as they looked at the humans before them. Ren 2 and Ren 3 looked at each other and nodded, then raised their weapons high. They slashed towards their necks. When the sound of stone striking metal erupted, accompanied by a burst of sparks, both of their weapons were knocked away. Looking at the weapons repelled by his own body, Ju Yin laughed, "An ant like you still thinks you can kill me? You're courting death, a mere mortal creation. My feathers are thousands of times sharper than the stones in your hands." Ju Feng's voice was filled with ridicule and smugness. Faced with the Lich Fiend's ridicule and laughter, Ren 2 and Ren 3 were at a complete loss. Looking at the stone fragments not far from them, their hearts burned with anger. They had endured so much oppression, and now, even when the Lich Fiends were right in front of them, they were powerless to slay them. The weakness of the human race stung them deeply. This was the power of the Lich Fiends. Even their physical bodies alone were still a powerful source of their confidence. Chu Feng opened and closed his palm. Golden, patterned blades appeared in his hand. These 2 blades seemed to be reborn from chaos. While shrouded in a golden mist, they also contained the power of endless slaughter. Looking at the gloating Ju Feng and Ju Yin, the blades floated forward. When they were in front of the 2 humans, he said, "Ren 2. Ren 3, use these." The golden blades were each the length of an arm. Their entire bodies shone with a brilliant golden light, and as they got closer, they could feel a gentle power. Upon seeing this, Ren 2 and Ren 3 didn't hesitate to grab the blades before them. Then they strode forward like meteors toward Ju Yin and Ju Feng. Seeing the blades in their hands, Ju Feng and Ju Yin's hearts trembled. Their own power was immense, and they could feel that the energy contained within the blades was anything but ordinary. At this moment, 2 shadows loomed over them. Looking at Ju Yin and Ju Feng before them, Ren 2 and Ren 3's hearts were filled with rage. In their minds, they thought of the humans who had been captured, of the children in their tribe. Everything from the past flashed before their eyes like a revolving lantern, their chests brimming with fury. The 2 of them swung their blades at the same time. The snowy white light of the blades cut through the air, letting out a humming sound as an incomparably sharp killing aura filled the space. Chu Feng knew that the blades were resonating. The years of hatred and anger in the 2 men's hearts, amplified by the golden patterns, had already stirred up a mighty power. The void was split as if by an ancient sound. With a whoosh, the moisture in the air instantly evaporated. Blinding flash from the blades shot past, and Ju Yin's and Ju Feng's heads were sliced off. The humans behind them didn't have time to rejoice. The fallen heads instantly transformed into a giant snake head and a phoenix head. Their eyes were filled with fury. Ren 2 and Ren 3 were so frightened they stumbled backward, but they never let go of the blades in their hands. At the same time, the 2 whose heads had just been cut off grew new ones in the blink of an eye. Chu Feng ignored them as their heads regenerated. With a wave of his hand, orange-yellow flames surged up from the ground. The air temperature shot up instantly, and countless pieces of dry firewood flew into the flames on their own. The fire grew larger. He glanced over at that moment. at the 9 phoenix and the 9 infants, whose faces were pale with fright. After a cold laugh, he then looked at Human 2 and Human 3 and said, "Take their heads, roast them, and eat them. Share them with everyone." Facing Chu Feng, the two stared viciously at the 9 phoenix and the 9 infants. They finally put away their fear of the shaman and the demon, and began to handle the heads. As members of the 3,000-strong human race, handling a phoenix head and a snake head was not difficult for them. In a short time, the phoenix head and the snake head were skinned and deboned, then divided into thousands of portions and roasted over the fire. The scene was shocking. Chu Feng, who had initially worried that the snake and phoenix heads might not be edible, was completely relieved after tasting them himself. He called over to Human 1 and Human 2 to continue their work. Armed with sharp blades, several dazzling flashes of white light cut through the air, and one after another, snake and phoenix heads fell to the ground. With Chu Feng's restrictive power, no matter how much the 9 phoenix and 9 infants struggled, the 2 humans remained fearless. The other members of the human race also, after getting Human 1's approval, stepped forward and began to slash. "I will slaughter all of you," the 9 infants roared. But his voice was now no different from an ordinary person's, completely lacking the immense power to shatter mountains and rivers with a single cry. On the other side, the 9 phoenix was also furious. As a powerful expert of the shaman clan, titan of the primordial wilderness, its head was now being chopped off and eaten as food. They glared furiously at the humans before them, but it was useless. Even using every trick they knew, they couldn't break free at all. Soon, both of them had 8 heads chopped off. At this moment, they began to panic, because once the last head was cut off, death would be certain. At this moment, the various races watching from other sacred grounds were also completely stunned. Eating shamans and demons in the primordial wilderness was definitely not a big deal. It was quite common, but to eat the severed heads right in front of them, this was definitely a first, especially when the ones doing it were the human race, the weakest among all the races. They watched as the humans swung their sharp blades, and as they split the heads open, thick, viscous blood immediately sprayed out. The blood contained a dense, mysterious substance. What spread was not the smell of blood, but a light fragrance. Now, in large cauldrons, this flesh and blood steamed, releasing a colorful mist. The 3,000 members of the human race feasted heartily. Their mouths were greasy from eating, and a warm power circulated through their bodies, emanating a brilliant, bloody light. This power from the flesh and blood had been refined by the slashing of the sharp blades, becoming incredibly pure. It was as dazzling as 1,000 suns. Looking down from above, almost every human who had eaten the meat was glowing all over. A vast substance flowed from their pores. This was the benefit of consuming the flesh and blood of shamans and demons. It was of great spiritual benefit to the human race. The bodies of the 3,000 humans were undergoing a qualitative change. This scene shocked all the races. And at this time, the demon clan and the shaman clan who were watching were all enraged. The insignificant human race, in front of all the other races, was brutally consuming the flesh and blood of shamans and demons. How utterly audacious! How can this be tolerated? In the heavenly court, veins bulged on Dongwang Taiyi's forehead, his usual transcendent demeanor completely gone. With his roar, the image in the mirror instantly shattered. The heavens trembled, startling the entire demon clan into bowing their heads in terror. Then, he roared through gritted teeth, "Follow me to the other side." Meanwhile, in Pangu Hall, a palpable, blood-red killing intent filled the air. Changliang, the ancestral shaman, trembled with rage, his eyes shot with blood. He roared in fury, "You human ant!" The entire Pangu Hall shook violently, and rolling thunder cracked across the sky. Dark clouds covered half the sky as the might of a quasi-saint radiated outwards. The serpentine artifact in his hand flickered, its forked tongue venting Changlang's fury. The serpent's body coiled even tighter around his muscular arm. Then, Changliang turned to leave, striding forth on his 4 hooves. In an instant, he crossed thousands of miles, accompanied by the sound of rolling thunder. It startled all the clans in every direction. Both Changliang and Dongwang Taiyi arrived in the blink of an eye. The sky above Skull Mountain split open, revealing an incredibly wide rift. Like the eye of a god opening, it radiated an incomparably majestic power. Dongwang Taiyi strode through on a path of golden light, divine halos pulsing behind him. A deafening sound erupted as brilliant power blossomed around his body. Boom! Changliang arrived, shattering a towering mountain with a single step. Rage spilled uncontrollably from his chest, and the serpent on his body grew immense in the blink of an eye, coiling around half the mountain. Ah, the Eastern Emperor is here in person, a powerful being exclaimed in disbelief. He blinked, looking again through his mystical mirror. He gazed at that incomparably majestic figure, then shifted his perspective. Slowly, he was able to see Dongwang Taiyi's face, but in the next second, Dongwang glared fiercely, and the mirror instantly shattered. A terrifying power surged out from the mirror, the might of a quasi-saint crossing the void. There was no contact, just an angry glare, but it was enough to destroy the heavens and the earth. In the next second, that powerful being was obliterated. He had angered Dongwang Taiyi, and was crushed like an ant to vent his fury. Meanwhile, Changliang stood atop the high cliffs. The great serpent coiled on the mountain flicked its icy tongue. The quasi-saint's aura radiating from Changliang was immense, but he couldn't be bothered with the prying eyes of the other clans. Instead, he stared at the still unafraid Chu Feng. "Save me, I beg you, Eastern Emperor, save me." Seeing the arrival of Dongwang Taiyi and Changliang, Zhu Feng and Jiaying cried out desperately as if they had seen a glimmer of hope. They couldn't take it anymore. The human before them was too vicious, severing a head right before their eyes. It was too terrifying. In the past, they were the superior ones, devouring others without a shred of mercy. But now, they had become the prey. Their previous fury and arrogance had completely vanished. Demon Marshal Jiaying, his eyes like a galaxy of stars, glared at Chu Feng. He roared, "You human ant! How dare you devour a demon marshal of the heavenly court? Release them at once!" His voice, imbued with the might of a quasi-saint, vast mountain ranges began to tremble and resonate. "Release my sister, or I will slaughter your entire human race." On a distant high mountain, Chang Liang also roared, a great serpent coiling around its outer side. Suddenly, it spat several bolts of lightning from its mouth, causing a celestial phenomenon. They were ready to charge the mountain peak ahead at any moment. At the same time, the two quasi-saints unleashed their immense pressure. They pressed down with an aura that could shake mountains and rivers, terrifying the myriad races of the primordial world into trembling. The 3,000 humans trembled in terror, no longer daring to consume the large chunks of meat in their hands. As the immense pressure bore down, it felt as if time and space had frozen. It seemed as though even breathing had become incredibly difficult. Yet, facing the pressure of the two quasi-saints, Chu Feng remained fearless. He sneered, "If the witch and demon races can slaughter humans, why can't the human race eat them?" Before his words had even faded, Chu Feng looked again to Human 2 and Human 3, who were holding sharp blades, and ordered them to strike. Cut off the last heads of Zhu Feng and Zhu Ying. After Human 2 and Human 3 exchanged a glance, they strode quickly toward Zhu Feng and Zhu Ying. Before the two could scream again, the sharp blades fell once more. Thud, thud, two heads instantly hit the ground, and blood gushed from the clean cuts on their necks. The blood exploded in a spray, turning the area into a battlefield of carnage. In the blink of an eye, the golden blood threatened to form a river, emanating a terrifying aura. He actually executed them in public. The watching myriad races were all in shock. How unbelievably audacious, to act like this even with the Eastern Emperor and the ancestral witch present. The myriad races of the primordial world were horrified, thinking this human was far too savage. At that moment, as their last heads were severed, the life force of Zhu Ying and Zhu Feng completely dissipated. Their pupils held a hatred born of unwillingness and humiliation. Now, with the deaths of Zhu Ying and Zhu Feng, the territory also absorbed sufficient power. Congratulations, host, for acquiring energy. Territory level has been upgraded to level 5. Territory range has expanded to a radius of 1,000 li. As the territory's level increased, Chu Feng could feel that his range of control had grown even wider. He could even precisely sense the fish and shrimp moving in the mountain rivers. Looking up, his gaze swept past the Eastern Emperor and landed on Chang Liang. Chu Feng felt it was a bit of a pity. Both the Eastern Emperor and Chang Liang were outside this 1,000 li range. He had originally planned to use the brutal slaughter of Zhu Ying and Zhu Feng to lure more powerful witch and demon experts here. He would kill the two of them and acquire their energy, raise his level, and then continue the hunt. Unfortunately, he hadn't expected that both the Eastern Emperor and Chang Liang would be so cautious, keeping a great distance the moment they arrived. Because of this, all of his subsequent plans were ruined. As expected of the overlords of the primordial world, Chu Feng sighed with regret. If it had been anyone else, they would have charged in long ago after the demon race was so humiliated. Or they would have thrown all caution to the wind, seeing their own sister being tortured. But in contrast, the two of them were unnaturally calm. Chu Feng knew. They had most likely sensed that something was off. Besides, for both the Eastern Emperor and Chang Liang, this distance separating them was something that, for beings of their power, was not difficult to cross in an instant. Furthermore, the witch race excels at wielding the power of laws. With Chang Liang's strength as a quasi-saint, he would be far more powerful than the witch commander he had killed previously. However, brutally slaughtering Zhu Ying and Zhu Feng right before their eyes had still thoroughly enraged the Eastern Emperor and Chang Liang. In a fit of fury, Chang Liang finally made his move. The thunderous power that had been building up had already reached its peak. A silver light swirled and spun in the sky. Unleashing its immense power, various runes of the Way of Thunder poured down, leaving even Chu Feng in awe. As expected of a quasi-saint who specializes in the Way of Thunder, creating a sea of lightning for thousands of miles with a single strike. It was like the apocalypse. The terrifying lightning in the sky was still building up. Then, with a thunderous boom, it brought forth the torrential runes and laws, rushing toward the mountain peak as if it were splitting the vast ocean. It was an incredibly shocking sight. At the same time, the giant serpent coiled around the mountain also opened its massive jaws, spewing a brilliant silver beam of light from deep within its fangs. Like a sudden aurora, it bore down with crushing force. Other than my own people, all of you ants must be exterminated. Insubordination. Two thunderous shouts erupted one after another. The pressure of the quasi-saint was fully revealed, as the power of the vast sea of lightning and the auroral lightning intertwined. The power of the laws they formed was terrifyingly immense. Even without being directly targeted, just the radiating laws were already enough to shatter a mountain range. In an instant, rivers reversed their flow. Countless rivers were vaporized, the steam carrying the fury of Chang Liang. It could shake the firmament, and its power could even split the heavens. Now, unleashed in its entirety, it was a terrifyingly brilliant spectacle. It was as if a vast, sacred domain of the Way of Thunder had descended to suppress the world. At that moment, the powerful warriors from all the nearby clans felt the full, crushing pressure of the quasi-saint. Even the void itself began to crack, leaking wisps of black energy from within. The immense power bore down on them, making it hard for them to breathe. On the verge of suffocating, all they wanted was to escape from this place immediately. The clashing auras were the first to sweep across the mountain peak. In the midst of the gale, all vegetation was obliterated. Giant boulders were ground to dust by the storm, instantly annihilated. The 3,000 humans were already gasping for air under the quasi-saint's pressure. The protective spell Chu Feng had cast earlier was failing, and everyone was about to suffocate to death. Chang Liang erupted with power once more, shattering the heavens with his strength alone. Unleashing the laws, he attacked with the full power of his domain. What? Is this the true power of a quasi-saint? It's shattering the very heavens. A terrifying aura continued to radiate outwards, forcing the powerful onlookers from every clan to shut their eyes. It was that bolt of lightning that was particularly blinding. Their eyes stung with excruciating pain, and some even began to bleed from them. They were shocked. Chang Liang's vital energy was as vast as an ocean. When he fully unleashed it, his blood turned a golden yellow. It suppressed the entire world, as if he were a revered being from primordial times. This supreme power swept across the land, and the few great masters closest to it couldn't withstand it. Their bodies completely disintegrated, and then they were struck by the lightning within the shockwave. They were annihilated in an instant. But most importantly, the protective spells some powerful warriors cast for their people were also shattered. They exploded directly, ceasing to exist. You dare call yourself the supreme leader of the human race? Who gave you the nerve to declare all-out war on my witch tribe? Ancestral witch Chang Liang roared. At this moment, his roar was so terrifying it instantly shattered the black storm surging from the void. A silver storm of cosmic energy transformed into runes, striking deep into the void. It unleashed a terrifying echo, like a monstrous roar from the depths of the heavens. It terrified the myriad races. He was even more powerful than they had imagined. The myriad races were horrified, and among them were many powerful experts approaching the quasi-saint realm. Yet, seeing Chang Liang unleash his full power, they knew they were no match for him. This moment, Chang Liang's vital blood was dazzling, a silver torrent surging within him. Even lightning crackled and gathered in his very pores. The hearts of many experts among the myriad races sank. That was the sign of one's power being pushed to its absolute limit. He was becoming one with that power, making him incomparably strong. On the mountaintop, facing Chang Liang's ferocious assault, the protection over the 3,000 humans finally shattered, and a terrifying pressure descended upon them. Fearless, Chu Feng made his move with a wave of his hand. 3,000 streams of power shot out from his palm, forming a golden shield. As this power descended to protect the humans, the terrifying pressure and heart-stopping force could no longer be felt. The 3,000 humans gradually recovered. They looked up. The sky now looked like a shattered mirror, as if a single touch would make it shatter completely. Silver lightning still arced across the void, radiating towards the endless void. He's gone mad. The myriad races trembled in shock. It was unbelievable. That was Chang Liang, the ancestral witch. A renowned quasi-saint of the primordial world was now unleashing the full extent of his power. He was in a frenzied state, as if driven to madness, pushing his power to the absolute limit just to slaughter 3,000 humans. At that moment, Chu Feng made his move. He took a single step forward. Space churned, sending out wave after wave of ripples. In the distance, the chaotic sea of lightning and cosmic power came crashing down. It blotted out the sky, a scene more apocalyptic than the apocalypse itself. These humans are doomed. They're facing a quasi-saint at his full power. Even other quasi-saints among the myriad races might not be able to defeat Chang Liang, let alone these frail humans. But Chu Feng took a deep breath. A strange power began to stir all over his body, and even his hair began to shimmer with a golden light. Each strand was like crystal. As he blinked his eyes, a great power flowed forth, and a mist began to rise from his body. He looked both mysterious and divine. Then, he charged into the roaring storm of lightning. He opened his mouth, revealing a terrifying power. Then, with a mighty inhale, he drew in all the power above the human territory, swallowing it all. At that moment, radiant mists billowed in all directions. Amidst the brilliant silver light, the dazzling power that filled the sky vanished without a trace, transforming into pure energy to be completely devoured by Chu Feng. In the distance, Dongwang Taiyi realized something was wrong, but still he showed no sign of intervening. In the blink of an eye, all the power unleashed by Chang Liang was devoured and neutralized by Chu Feng. The deafening thunder faded, and a sudden silence fell over the world. The myriad races of the primordial world watched this scene in utter shock. The battle was over in an instant. It had arrived with the fury of a primordial beast, yet vanished as quietly as a spring rain. At this moment, all was deathly still among the myriad races of the primordial world. They all stared in utter shock at the scene before them, and as for Chang Liang, the one who had unleashed the attack, he was filled with a mixture of disbelief and shock. A mere human had devoured his power. Even the great masters of the other races couldn't believe it. A member of the weak human race, just like that, so effortlessly, had neutralized the full power strike of a quasi-saint. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have never believed it. In fact, even after witnessing it, it was hard for them to accept, especially since the opponent was a human. Yet Chu Feng had swallowed that vast sea of laws and was completely unscathed. It was as if he'd just eaten his fill, and he let out a solid, hearty burp. This act immediately snapped Chang Liang back to his senses, his expression turning incredibly ugly. In its place, a heaven-scorching rage began to fester in his chest. This was a humiliation. He had been silently mocked by a human, and in front of all the other races. Chu Feng raised a hand, wiped away the lingering trace of lightning from his lips, and looked at Chang Liang with a cold smile. Is this all the power a quasi-saint has? His cold sneer was like a sharp sword piercing the heavens, stabbing straight into Chang Liang's heart with an unbearable, piercing pain. He was absolutely certain that the power he had just used was more than enough to obliterate 10 of the top experts from among the myriad primordial races. Seeing the enraged but unmoving Chang Liang, Chu Feng's expression turned cold. He didn't speak again. It had to be said. The cautiousness of Chang Liang and Dongwang Taiyi was truly a headache. They were just outside the borders of his territory, yet they steadfastly refused to step in. Even when Chang Liang unleashed his attack earlier, he still hadn't entered the territory. If he had stepped in, it wouldn't have been as simple as just devouring the lightning. At that moment, Dongwang, high up in the sky, made his move. He looked down at Chang Liang and snorted coldly, "And you call my clan useless? You can't even handle a single human." Faced with Dongwang's taunt, Chang Liang suppressed his rage. He knew that in a one-on-one fight, he was no match for Dongwang Taiyi. Then, the divine runes all over his body erupted with a sacred and brilliant light. Dongwang Taiyi instantly summoned the Dongwang Bell. The appearance of the bell immediately dispelled the gloom in the sky, as a blinding purple light began to spread and bloom. It blanketed the entire sky, down to the mountains and rivers, covering the whole land, which was instantly submerged in a mysterious, hazy mist. The might of a peak quasi-saints. Pressure suddenly dispelled all else, sweeping through every corner of the mountain forest. Amidst purple ripples, the Dongwang Bell radiated its own unique majesty. Then, Dongwang used his power to draw it out from within the ripples. With a hum, a ripple spread out. Like a tangible shockwave, it radiated out in all directions. Quickly enveloped the heavens and the earth. A deafening rumble from the bell. Wherever the ripple passed, all life was extinguished. Mountains crumbled, and rivers flowed backward. It suppressed all of creation. The 3,000 humans on the mountaintop could already feel its boundless, terrifying power. In the blink of an eye, the Dongwang Bell was hovering midair above the peak. The shockwaves were still spreading, and some of the humans could no longer withstand it. They fell to their knees, clutching their ears, wailing and roaring in agony. It felt as if their eardrums were about to split. The pain was unbearable. At that moment, even a powerhouse at the level of a quasi-saint felt an immense pressure. Gripped by terror, he realized, as long as the Eastern Emperor wields the Eastern Emperor Bell, he would never be a match for him. His eyes were filled with deep apprehension, while the 10,000 races of the primordial world who were watching were terrified, feeling the oppressive aura emanating from the Eastern Emperor and his bell. Not to mention, the Eastern Emperor himself was a quasi-saint, one of the most powerful in all existence. The origin of the Eastern Emperor Bell alone was extraordinary. As one of the 3 great connate cardinal treasures of the primordial world, once the Eastern Emperor Bell was unleashed, it possessed the power to destroy heavens and earth, and when wielded by a quasi-saint like the Eastern Emperor, it could even stand against a saint. This was the source of the heavenly court's confidence, although they didn't know how that human had dealt with the powerful ancestral witches' techniques. Now that the Eastern Emperor was making his move with the bell, it seemed the human was truly doomed. A mighty one spoke in secret, with the Eastern Emperor Bell in his hand. His power is undeniably comparable to that of a saint. A quasi-saint among the 10,000 races murmured, even if that human possesses power comparable to a quasi-saint. So what? The Eastern Emperor is no ordinary quasi-saint. All living beings were adrift. The consciousness of all creatures began to blur as they struggled desperately. Some, who were too close, even had the corners of their eyes split open. Unable to withstand the sonic waves from the bell, their bodies violently exploded into pieces. They perished, filled with resentment. "Human, you will pay the price for your arrogance," Taiyi roared, beginning to unleash the power of the Eastern Emperor Bell. The chime of the bell swept across the land. But just then, Chu Feng made his move. From out of the void, a massive, golden hand suddenly emerged, like an ancient being from a bygone era. It moved with a mystical rhythm as a terrifying, immense power descended. The sonic waves of the Eastern Emperor Bell were crushed, disintegrating in the blink of an eye. It had no power to resist. "Thank you for the gift, Eastern Emperor. We'll be happy to take this off your hands." The golden hand shot forward with a whoosh. It instantly seized the Eastern Emperor Bell in its grasp and then clamped down hard. Faced with this majestic power, no amount of struggling from the Eastern Emperor Bell was of any use. Seeing his Eastern Emperor Bell being snatched away, Eastern Emperor Taiyi was utterly stunned. He channeled his energy, trying to reclaim the bell, instantly unleashing the power of a quasi-saint. He tried to counteract the immense power wielded by Chu Feng, but no matter how the Eastern Emperor Bell struggled, or how Eastern Emperor Taiyi exerted his strength, it couldn't break free. Seeing this, Chu Feng decided not to drag it out any longer. He shouted a command, "Shrink." The Eastern Emperor Bell, originally 10,000 zhang tall, shrank in the blink of an eye to the size of an ordinary bell, its body still pulsing with mystical energy. an incredibly wild energy. High above, the Eastern Emperor saw his bell being taken and instantly flew into a rage. "Return it at once, or I will slaughter your entire clan today." He was furious. A vast and immense power erupted from his body, and strange phenomena filled the sky. It shook the entire primordial world, not just the mountains and rivers. Even the entire heavenly court could feel it, the surging rage from the depths of Eastern Emperor Taiyi's soul over his stolen bell. This enraged Dongwang even more than the brutal murder of Juyin, and yet Chu Feng was holding the Dongwang bell. He sneered continuously, although the Dongwang bell was still struggling. Now that he held it in his hand, how could it possibly escape? "You disobedient thing." Seeing the Dongwang bell struggling so violently, Chu Feng waved his hand and forcefully erased Dongwang's imprint. The moment the imprint was erased, the Dongwang bell gradually grew calm. Previously vibrating chimes also fell silent in an instant. Looking at the Dongwang bell in his hand, Chu Feng said coldly, "Within my domain, forget about an innate cardinal treasure. Even your master can do nothing." Meanwhile, Taiyi spat out a large mouthful of crimson blood. The imprint on the Dongwang bell was connected to him. Now that the imprint had been forcefully erased, he suffered a backlash. Then, cracks actually began to appear on Dongwang Taiyi's body. The violent backlash had severely wounded him. Dongwang was injured. Great powers of the myriad races were terrified. The supreme one of the human clan had actually injured the demon clan's Dongwang. The hidden quasi-saints were stunned. This was definitely a major event that would shake the entire primordial world. After all, the one who was injured was the #1 expert beneath the saints in the primordial world today. Looking at the crack in his palm, Dongwang Taiyi was shocked. He had the body of a quasi-saint, yet it was cracking just from a backlash. Changliang, who had witnessed the entire event, was also shaken. As a quasi-saint, he knew very well just how tough Dongwang Taiyi's body was. And now, it had cracked from a backlash. He didn't dare to make a rash move. He stared at that upstart from the human clan. Over there, Chu Feng, who had just seized the Dongwang bell, ignored Dongwang's fury. With a clench of his fist, sparkling silver cord appeared. He threaded the cord through the small loop on top of the Dongwang bell. He even chuckled and said, "This little bell isn't bad," then casually used the Dongwang bell to tie up his hair. A gentle breeze blew past his now tied long hair, and it felt incredibly refreshing. The myriad races watching the battle were utterly shocked. They couldn't believe their eyes. An innate cardinal treasure was being used by that human as a hair tie. This human is simply too arrogant. The great powers among the myriad races of the primordial world were terrified, wondering about his origins. He could suppress two great quasi-saints, Dongwang and Changliang. His power was simply terrifying. The experts of the various races no longer dared to look down upon the seemingly ant-like human clan. From the beginning of this battle until now, all eyes had been on him, and they had witnessed the power of that human. At that moment, seeing his own Dongwang bell being used as a hair accessory, Dongwang Taiyi flew into a rage. His fury erupted at that very moment. He spat out another mouthful of blood, overcome by pure rage. Even for a quasi-saint, his face had turned pale. "Ant, you've gone too far," he roared. Chu Feng shot him a warning glance. He said nothing, but in reality, he felt completely helpless. The Dongwang bell is indeed a good item, but unfortunately, it's useless to me. Inside my domain, I am invincible. Any external power is just icing on the cake. But once I leave this place, I'm just a mortal. Forget an innate cardinal treasure like the Dongwang bell. I can't even activate a much weaker magic weapon. At that moment, the distant Changliang realized that he was no match for this human at all. An idea began to form in his mind. He suppressed his rage, and his tone became a little calmer. He said, "Human clan, return my sister's body to me, and I will leave immediately." The myriad clans were shocked. Was Changliang actually backing down? Some of the powerful ones were shaken. Even a quasi-saint was backing down? The human clan, these ants, could they really possess the power to kill a quasi-saint? Although it was true that Chu Feng had taken the Eastern Emperor bell, to say he had actually killed a quasi-saint, they still couldn't believe it. After all, besides the saints themselves, a quasi-saint was an supreme being who roamed the world, with few who could ever be their equal. "And what if I don't?" Chu Feng sneered. "You show up at our door demanding someone from my human clan, and so with just a few words, you expect me to hand over her body?" "You idiotic ant," Chang Liang, who had just managed to calm his tone upon hearing this, suddenly flew into a rage. "Ant, hand her over at once. Otherwise, the grand army of my witch clan will descend and crush your Kongtong mountain realm." However, Chu Feng remained completely unfazed. He turned to look at the fearful faces of the humans, who were holding on through sheer anger and hatred, and commanded Ren and Ren San, "Light the fire, we're eating." Chu Feng intended to provoke them further. He ordered 3,000 members of the human clan to roast Jufeng. When it came to eating meat, Ren and Ren San were naturally delighted. They called over 3,000 humans and began to skin, pull the tendons from, and chop up Jufeng. Placing the pieces on the grill, their experienced hands moved with incredible skill. In the distance, Chang Liang stared in absolute fury, grinding his teeth until they nearly cracked as he watched Zhou Fengji's body being carved up. Immense lightning once again surged around him. A crimson glow erupted from his body, completely dyeing that stretch of the sky. It was an incomparably shocking sight. At that moment, the Eastern Emperor was also watching intently. A powerful and terrifying aura radiated from him. Silently, he laid out a formation high in the sky, a ruthless and venomous plan. He was going to slaughter every last human in an instant. Zhou Fengji's flesh was quickly cooked by the flames. The meat was glistening crimson and looked exceptionally tender. It shimmered with a radiant light. Before anyone even took a bite, the essence within the aroma had already begun to improve the constitutions of the human clan. It was mouth-watering. "Don't waste these small bones. You can chew them up and swallow them," Ren San said as he leaned over to the human next to him. They could feel a vast, warm power circulating within them, as if they were immersed in a hot spring. At this moment, the entire summit of Kongtong Mountain was filled with the fragrant smell of meat, and the glowing flesh gradually became even more golden and glossy. This was no ordinary flesh, it was of the pure witch clan bloodline. Second only to the 12 ancestral witches. Rays of radiant light burst forth from it. The leg and wing meat were the most delicious. Fat dripped into the great fire, making a sizzling sound that was incredibly appetizing. This was absolutely nourishing flesh. Eating it would make one's blood and vital energy surge, granting infinite strength and drastically improving one's constitution. In comparison, Juyan's flesh was even more brilliant. Meanwhile, the demon clan member had been stewed into a soup. The broth was rich and fragrant. The aroma was delightful. "I've never had snake meat this delicious before." The humans were overjoyed, though some found the snake meat too tough to chew. He borrowed a sharp blade to split it open, then put it back to cook. The fat from the snake meat had boiled out and was now floating on the surface. The faint red glow of the nitrogen box reflected on the faces of the 3,000 humans. Seeing that it was about done, Ren San scooped out a large piece of meat. He began to feast, taking a big bite. It immediately made Ren San let out a comfortable hum. This first bite made him feel as if every pore on his body had opened up. It was exceptionally comforting. It was truly a worldly delicacy. The meat was tender and pink, and it melted in your mouth. The flesh also contained specks of a starry substance, golden and fragrant, enough to make a centipede cry with envy. "So delicious. Quick, eat that wing. That's the really good meat." The 3,000 humans ate with great delight. Someone ate the snake's gallbladder, and their whole body immediately erupted in a radiant glow. Large pieces of nitrogen box bones surged from his pores, as if accompanied by the crack of thunder. That's where the essence is. It may not be tasty, but it's definitely the best part of this snake soup. Seeing this, the other clans were shocked beyond belief. These humans were far too bold to actually cook and eat Jufeng and Juyan. However, even though this group of humans was ferocious, and they saw it with their own eyes, they were actually extremely envious. Those were Juyan and Jufeng they were eating. Their flesh and blood would be of great divine benefit to anyone. At this moment, only two people in the world were the most furious. They were Chang Liang and Dongwang Taiyi. Right now, Chang Liang was glaring and roaring incessantly from a distance, wishing he could shatter the mountains and rivers and pierce through the heavens. Brilliant lightning erupted from his body. Every hair on Chang Liang's body felt like it was about to stand on end. The great serpent in his hand was being crushed out of shape. He was about to go mad with rage. This group of humans is too savage, eating his sister's flesh and blood in public. And so brazenly, too. It made him want to cough up blood. His body trembled, and several uncontrollable bolts of lightning shot out. With a rumbling sound, they exploded on the ground, tearing up huge swaths of the landscape. Countless hidden members of the myriad clans were instantly annihilated. Those bolts of lightning were as thick as the bars of a cage, shaking the heavens, incomparably terrifying. High in the sky, Dongwang was also enraged. The divine halo behind him vibrated, releasing swaths of immortal light, which were dazzling to the extreme. Obscuring half the sky, both of them were accumulating terrifying power. Their fury had reached its peak. Watching Jufeng being carved up and eaten, Chang Liang couldn't hold back any longer. Rage had paralyzed his reason. Carrying with him endless lightning and a sky-shattering killing intent, he charged towards Chu Feng. Chang Liang's hair was disheveled, and a terrifying killing intent shot from his eyes. Swift as a thunderbolt, he transformed into a thin, silver line, shattering the great mountain beneath his feet. The offensive power of this strike was even more ferocious than before, like a divine slash. It was terrifyingly sharp. If it were to strike a quasi-saint, they would be hard-pressed to survive. His eyes were filled with the color of blood. Chang Liang's blurred vision was already filled with a vast expanse of blood red. He was seething with uncontrollable rage, roaring, "The human race must be exterminated, model." This roar shook all the clans, the sound waves themselves becoming visible ripples. Radiating in all directions, vast expanses of lush green land crumbled violently. The heavens shook, sending down sheets of lightning's glare. Boom, billions of thunderbolts fell. Like the bars of a massive cage, they slammed into the earth, blasting out countless craters that billowed with black smoke. In that moment, it was as if the apocalypse had descended upon the world. All of creation trembled in fear. Facing the charging Chang Liang, the 3,000 humans stood ready in battle formation. The radiant light erupting from their bodies converged, forming a shimmering curtain of blood-red energy. A grim fury appeared on the faces of the humans. They remembered how the liches had once slaughtered their people. Such cruelty. And now, before we can even exact our vengeance, we are to be slaughtered again. Where is the justice in this world? They looked toward the charging Chang Liang, only to see the two great serpents begin to move. The serpents' bodies swelled in size again, becoming like moving mountains of sharp blades. Their colossal bodies carved deep trenches into the earth. It was a terrifying sight. Even the flicking of their forked tongues now held the power to destroy an entire region. They were ready to strike alongside Chang Liang at any moment, as the sky filled with the glow of thunder. A brilliant silver light illuminated the land. In the blink of an eye, Chang Liang was upon them. He advanced, cloaked in raging thunder and cosmic power. His rage was palpable, his intent to annihilate every last human. With every step, the landscape warped and the heavens grew dark. Vast dark clouds rolled across the sky, as black smoke billowed up from the ground. It transformed into a rising fog, blanketing the entire plain. The black fog was the first thing to cross into their territory. It was utterly horrifying, crackling with bolts of lightning. Wherever it passed, all life was extinguished. Meanwhile, the two colossal beasts weaved through it, their scarlet tongues flicking in and out. "Humans, surrender and die." Chang Liang roared once more. He began his final descent. Yet, the very instant he set foot in their territory, he suddenly plummeted from the sky, and the terrifying lightning began to fade. The overwhelming storm of thunder fell silent, and the rolling black clouds shattered. Sunlight poured down. In the blink of an eye, his massive body shrank to the size of a normal man.